You are not ignored because you lack talent. You are ignored because you are scattered. Your energy is diluted. Your attention is cheap. And in a world where attention is power, you've been giving yours away for free. That is your first mistake. Understand this like a strategist, not a dreamer. No man becomes untouchable while chasing validation. No man becomes powerful while explaining himself. And no man becomes dangerous while needing to be seen. You want respect? Disappear. Not physically, psychologically. Withdraw your need for approval. Cut the addiction to noise. Stop performing for people who would replace you in a second. Because the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop explaining, the moment you stop needing, you become unpredictable. And nothing unsettles the world more than a man they cannot read. Right now, you talk too much. You reveal too much. You show your plans before they're ready. That's not confidence. That's weakness disguised as openness. Real power is silent, calculated, patient. You don't announce your rise. You build it in shadows until it's too late for anyone to stop it. So here's your first command. Detach from opinions, from approval, from the illusion that anyone is coming to save you. Because this path is solitary, and if you can't walk it alone, you don't deserve the destination. Type this in the comments right now. I move in silence. Let it anchor into your mind. Because from this point forward, you are no longer chasing attention. You are becoming the man attention chases. And that changes everything. They don't notice the moment a man begins to change. They only notice when it's too late to catch him. Right now, they see everything. Your habits, your patterns, your weaknesses, because distraction makes you predictable. Every time attention slips, control is lost. Every time focus breaks, power leaks. And they count on that. They want noise around you. Endless stimulation, endless scrolling, endless talking. Because a distracted man is easy to manage, easy to replace, easy to ignore. But a focused man, he becomes a problem. He stops reacting, stops explaining, stops entertaining things that don't serve him. And suddenly, he is no longer accessible. That's where power begins. Understand the shift. Distraction is comfort. Focus is dominance. One keeps you visible but weak. The other makes you silent but dangerous. They won't clap when you isolate yourself. They won't understand when you cut access. They won't support the discipline it takes to become rare. Good approval is not part of this process. Because the moment validation disappears, clarity replaces it. You start seeing things differently. Conversations feel empty. Habits feel pointless. People feel temporary. And that's not arrogance. That's awareness. A man who sees clearly moves differently. He chooses where his energy goes. He decides who gets access. He builds without announcing. Because he understands something most never will. Power grows in silence, not in noise, not in attention, not in performance. Silence. So cut the excess, not slowly, not emotionally, but strategically. Remove what weakens you. Keep only what sharpens you. Because every second spent on distraction is time stolen from your evolution. And time is the only currency you can't recover. They won't notice the discipline at first, but they will feel the results. The distance, the change, the pressure in your presence. And by then, you won't be the same man they once ignored. Type this in the comments. I control my focus. Because once focus is controlled, everything else follows. And when everything aligns, you don't chase attention anymore. Attention chases you. Most men expose too much, not just their words, but their intentions. Every reaction given too quickly, every plan revealed too early, every emotion displayed without control, all of it creates a pattern. And patterns are weaknesses waiting to be exploited. Power begins where predictability ends. Being understood might feel good, but it makes control easier for others. Because once someone maps your thinking, they don't have to guess anymore. They anticipate, they position, they dominate. That's why restraint is power. Not silence out of fear, silence out of calculation. Every thought does not need to be spoken. Every move does not need to be shared. Every emotion does not need to be expressed. Control what is seen. Control what is known. Control what is assumed. Because perception is a battlefield, and most lose it before they even realize they're in it. A man who reveals everything leaves nothing to defend. But a man who controls information controls outcomes. Let assumptions work in your favor. Let others misjudge your pace. Let them underestimate your direction. That's not deception, that's strategy. Because while they're trying to figure you out, time is being used to build, quietly, precisely, without interruption. That's how distance is created, not by noise, not by explanation, but by silent execution. Emotional control becomes the foundation. No unnecessary reactions, no visible frustration, no impulsive responses. Stillness becomes the default. And in that stillness, clarity sharpens, observation increases, awareness deepens, position strengthens. Because the one who reacts less sees more, and the one who sees more moves with precision others can't match. That's where intimidation begins, not through aggression, but through uncertainty. Uncertainty makes people hesitate. Hesitation creates advantage. And advantage is everything. Keep words minimal. Keep actions intentional. Keep presence controlled. Let results speak. Let silence amplify them. Type this in the comments. Silence is my power. Because once nothing about you is easily understood, nothing about you can be easily challenged. And that's the moment you stop being reachable and start becoming untouchable. Emotions are not the problem. Lack of control is. Anger, frustration, desire, ego. None of these make a man weak. What makes him weak is being ruled by them. Most men react instantly, impulsively. A word triggers them. A situation shakes them. A person controls their mood without even trying. That's not strength. That's exposure. Because every emotional reaction is information, and information in the wrong hands becomes leverage. The moment someone knows what affects you, they know where to apply pressure. That's how control is taken. Not by force, but by manipulation. And it works, because discipline is missing. A controlled man cannot be manipulated easily. A controlled man does not give reactions for free. A controlled man chooses when to feel and when to stay cold. That choice is power. Pause before responding. Observe before reacting. Analyze before speaking. Turn every emotional impulse into a calculated decision. Because power is not loud. It is precise. A man who controls himself controls the situation, even in chaos, especially in chaos. While others lose composure, he gains advantage. While others speak too much, he gathers information. While others reveal frustration, he studies weaknesses. That's the difference. One is emotional, the other is strategic. And strategy always wins long term. Detach from the need to respond instantly. Silence is not weakness. Delay is not fear. It is control. And control creates distance. Distance from manipulation. Distance from chaos. Distance from losing power in moments that matter. Nothing external should have immediate access to your internal state. Not words, not opinions, not disrespect. Everything must pass through a filter, a system, a standard. If it doesn't serve you, it doesn't move you. Simple, because the moment something outside controls how you feel, you've already lost control of yourself. And a man without self-control cannot command anything else. Not respect, not power, not his own direction. So build the discipline, not visible, not performative. Internal, cold, stable, unshaken. Let others be emotional. Let them react. Let them expose themselves. And while they do, maintain composure. Because calmness under pressure is one of the rarest forms of dominance. Type this in the comments. I control my emotions. Because once emotions are mastered, Nothing outside of you can control you, and when nothing controls you, you become untouchable. Noise is the language of the weak. Results are the language of power, talking about goals, explaining ambitions, announcing every move. That's not progress, that's performance. And performance without substance creates the illusion of growth while nothing actually changes. Most men stay trapped there. They speak before they act. They celebrate before they earn. They seek recognition before they produce value. That is why they remain average, because attention becomes the reward instead of results. Shift the structure. Work in silence, no announcements, no previews, no need for approval. Because the moment a plan is exposed, it becomes vulnerable. Opinions interfere, doubt creeps in, energy gets diluted. Silence protects momentum. It removes distraction. It eliminates outside influence. It sharpens execution. And execution is everything. Focus on building something real. Skill, discipline, leverage. Not for applause, but for advantage. Because when the time comes, only results will speak. And results don't argue. They don't explain. They don't justify. They dominate. A man who produces consistently doesn't need to convince anyone of his worth. It becomes obvious. That's when attention shifts. Not because it was chased, but because it was earned. Quietly. While others were talking, he was building. While others were distracted, he was refining. While others needed validation, he was becoming undeniable. That's the separation. And once that gap is created, it's difficult to close. Because most people never develop the discipline to stay silent long enough to win. They need to be seen too early. They need recognition too fast. They expose unfinished versions of themselves and wonder why they're not respected. Respect follows proof, not promises. So stop explaining your future. Start constructing it. Brick by brick, day by day, without interruption. Let the work remain unseen until it's too heavy to ignore. Because when results arrive at full force, they don't whisper, they hit. And when they hit, everything changes. Perception shifts, position improves, power increases, not gradually, instantly. That's the impact of silent growth. Type this in the comments. Results speak for me. Because when results become your voice, no one questions your value, they recognize it. And recognition, without effort, is the highest form of power. Access is a privilege, not a right, yet most give it away, without thinking. Constant availability, instant replies, open doors to anyone, anytime. That doesn't make a man respected, it makes him common. And anything common loses value. Scarcity creates pressure. Scarcity creates curiosity. Scarcity creates importance. That's not theory. That's human behavior. The more available something is, the less it is appreciated. The less available it becomes, the more it is desired. Apply that to yourself. Stop being easy to reach. Stop being predictable. Stop being constantly present in places that don't elevate you. Because every time access is given without standard, value decreases, not gradually, immediately. A man who is always there is never prioritized, but a man who is selective forces others to adjust. They wait longer. They think more. They measure their approach. That's influence. And influence comes from control, not effort. Control of time. Control of presence. Control of availability. Not everyone deserves your attention. Not everyone earns your time. Not everyone qualifies for your energy. And the moment that standard is enforced, everything changes. Conversations become intentional. Interactions become strategic. Presence becomes impactful. Because it is no longer ordinary, it is limited. And limited things carry weight. Distance also reveals truth. Who respects your absence? Who tries to regain access? Who disappears when you're no longer convenient? That information is valuable. It shows who sees your worth and who only valued your availability. There's a difference. And recognizing that difference protects your future, because misplaced access leads to wasted time, and wasted time is lost power. So remove it, not emotionally, not dramatically, silently. Reduce responses, limit exposure, control engagement. Let presence become rare, let silence become normal, because when presence is rare, impact becomes stronger. Even small appearances create attention. Even minimal words carry weight. That's positioning, and positioning determines how others treat you, without you saying anything at all. Type this in the comments. My presence has value, because once access is controlled, respect follows naturally. And when respect is established without force, you are no longer chasing position, you hold it. Value is not claimed, it is proven, and most men overestimate theirs. Average skills, average discipline, average mindset, then expecting exceptional treatment. That contradiction keeps them replaceable, because in every environment, business, social, power structures, there is one rule. The one who brings the most value controls the outcome, not the loudest, not the most liked, not the most visible, the most useful. Understand the difference. Being liked creates comfort. Being useful creates leverage, and leverage is what makes a man untouchable. Right now, the problem isn't lack of opportunity, it's lack of depth. Surface-level skills, surface-level thinking, surface-level effort. That creates surface-level results, easily matched, easily replaced, easily forgotten. Depth changes everything. When skill becomes rare, competition decreases. When discipline becomes extreme, standards rise beyond reach. When execution becomes consistent, trust becomes automatic. That's how position is secured. Not by asking for it, but by making replacement impossible. Because replacing a man with average ability is easy. Replacing a man with precision, control, and results becomes costly. And anything costly is protected. So build something that cannot be copied quickly. Master a skill others avoid. Develop focus others lack. Create output others cannot sustain. That's how separation is built. Not in one moment, but over time. Relentless, consistent, controlled time. No shortcuts, no illusions. Because shortcuts produce fragile results, and fragile results collapse under pressure. Strength comes from repetition, from discipline, from doing the work when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. That's where real advantage is created. While others rely on bursts of motivation, you rely on systems. While others seek comfort, you build endurance. While others wait for opportunity, you become the reason opportunity appears. That's the shift, from participant to asset. And once that shift happens, everything changes. People don't question your presence, they depend on it. They don't overlook your contribution, they calculate around it. Because removing you would damage the structure. That's power, not attention, not validation, dependency. Type this in the comments. I build undeniable value. Because once value becomes undeniable, you are no longer in competition. You become the standard. And standards are not replaced. Short-term thinking creates long-term weakness, chasing quick wins, seeking instant results, needing immediate validation. That mindset keeps a man trapped in cycles. Temporary effort, temporary discipline, temporary success, then collapse. Because anything built for speed is rarely built to last. Power doesn't operate like that. Power is patient. It calculates beyond the moment, beyond emotion, beyond urgency. Every move is measured against time, not days, not weeks, years. That's where most fall behind. They think in hours, while others build in decades. And that difference creates separation that cannot be closed. Understand this clearly. The man who sacrifices today for tomorrow controls tomorrow, while the man who chases comfort today becomes controlled by tomorrow. Because comfort has a cost. And that cost is your future position. Every distraction chosen now delays progress later. Every easy decision made now creates harder consequences later. That's the trade. And most make the wrong one, because discipline feels heavy in the present, but regret is heavier in the future. So shift the lens. Stop asking, what feels good right now? Start asking, what builds power long term? That question alone separates thinkers from followers. Because long-term thinkers move differently. They invest time instead of spending it. They build systems instead of chasing outcomes. They delay gratification without hesitation, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Every action becomes strategic. Even rest is calculated. Even silence has purpose. Even patience becomes a weapon. That's how control expands. Because when decisions are made with the future in mind, mistakes decrease. Emotions lose influence. Impulses lose control. Clarity increases. And clarity leads to precision. While others jump from one thing to another, you stay locked in. While others chase trends, you build foundations. While others react to the moment, you shape what comes next. That's dominance. Not loud, not visible at first, but unstoppable over time. Because consistency applied long enough becomes inevitability, and inevitability cannot be ignored. Type this in the comments. I think long term, because once the future becomes your focus, the present becomes your tool, and when the present is used correctly, the outcome becomes unavoidable. Isolation is misunderstood, seen as weakness, avoided like failure. That's why most never evolve, because growth requires distance. Distance from noise, distance from influence, distance from expectations that dilute focus. Constant interaction weakens clarity. Too many opinions, too many voices, too many distractions competing for attention. And attention, divided, becomes ineffective. Isolation removes that, not as an escape, but as a tool, a controlled environment, where thinking sharpens, where discipline strengthens, where identity is rebuilt without interference. That's where real change begins. Because without external pressure, there is no need to perform, no need to impress, no need to explain, no need to adapt to others. Only one focus remains: self-mastery. And most avoid that, because isolation reveals truth. Weak habits, inconsistent discipline, lack of direction, all exposed. No distractions to hide behind, no validation to cover flaws, just reality. And reality forces a decision: stay the same or rebuild. That's why isolation is uncomfortable, not because it's empty, but because it's honest. And honesty demands action. Use it correctly, not to disconnect from purpose, but to connect deeper with it. Structure your time, control your environment, eliminate unnecessary interaction, turn silence into strategy. Because in silence, focus expands. In silence, awareness increases. In silence, execution becomes precise. That's where superiority is forged, not in crowds, not in attention, not in constant movement, but in controlled stillness. While others rely on external energy, you build internal stability. While others need motivation, you operate on discipline. While others avoid being alone, you use it to strengthen your position. That's the separation. And once that separation is established, return becomes different. Presence changes. Energy shifts. Perception evolves. Because isolation didn't weaken you, it refined you, made you sharper, more controlled, more intentional. And that shows without effort. Type this in the comments: I grow in isolation. Because once isolation becomes strength, nothing external is required for progress. And when nothing is required, everything becomes controlled. Standards decide everything, not words, not intentions, not promises. Standards, what is tolerated, what is allowed, what is enforced, that defines position. Most men lower theirs to fit in, accept less respect, accept less discipline, accept less from themselves, then wonder why nothing changes. Because reality adjusts to standards. Low standards create weak outcomes. High standards create pressure. Pressure on habits. Pressure on behavior. Pressure on everyone who interacts with you. That's how authority is established. Not by demanding it, but by living in a way that requires it. Every action aligned. Every decision intentional. Every boundary enforced without hesitation. No exceptions. Because exceptions create cracks, and cracks destroy structure. Consistency removes that. The same discipline every day, the same control in every situation, the same standard, regardless of who is present. That's what separates presence from influence. Anyone can act strong for a moment. Few can maintain it under pressure. That's where identity is tested. Not when things are easy, but when compromise is tempting. When shortcuts appear, when comfort calls, when no one is watching. That's where standards either hold or collapse. And if they collapse, so does everything built on them. So remove the option. No fallback, no alternative path, no second version of yourself that accepts less. Only one identity, disciplined, controlled, uncompromising. Because once standards become non-negotiable, decisions become automatic. No overthinking, no hesitation, no internal conflict. Action follows identity, and identity becomes unshakable. That's when transformation is complete, not visible at first, but undeniable over time. Respect is no longer requested, it is assumed. Attention is no longer chased, it is given. Position is no longer earned repeatedly, it is held. Because at that level, you are not competing. You are defining the environment others must operate in. That's what it means to become untouchable. Not unreachable, but unmovable. Stable in standards, precise in action, absolute in control. Type this in the comments. I am the standard. And understand this. Once standards are set at that level, there is no going back. Only forward, only higher, only stronger. Now like the video. Subscribe to Machiavelli's Discipline. Turn on notifications. Because this isn't motivation. This is transformation. Perception shapes power, not truth, not intention. Perception, what people see, what they believe, what they assume, that becomes their reality. And reality dictates how they treat you. Most ignore this. They focus only on effort, only on internal growth, only on what they know they are, while the world responds to what is shown. That gap destroys influence, because being powerful is one thing. Being seen as powerful is what makes it effective. Control what is visible, not by faking, but by filtering. Not everything needs to be shown. Not every struggle needs to be shared. Not every weakness deserves exposure. Refinement is required. Present strength. Conceal instability. Reveal results, not the process. Because perception doesn't reward effort, it rewards outcome. And those outcomes must be delivered with precision, posture, tone, timing, presence. Everything communicates something. Every movement sends a signal. Every word builds an image. Every silence creates interpretation. That's where control begins. Deliberate behavior. Nothing random, nothing careless, nothing reactive. Because one uncontrolled moment can damage 10 controlled ones. That's the cost of inconsistency. And inconsistency weakens perception. A man who is calm today and unstable tomorrow cannot be trusted, cannot be respected, cannot be taken seriously. Stability creates authority, predictable discipline, paired with unpredictable strategy. That combination is dangerous, because while behavior remains controlled, intentions remain hidden, and hidden intentions create tension. That tension draws attention, not loud, not desperate, controlled, measured, intentional. That's influence. People start observing more closely, listening more carefully, analyzing what isn't said, because absence of information creates curiosity, and curiosity increases perceived value. So reduce exposure, say less than necessary, show only what strengthens position, move in ways that suggest depth without confirming it. Let them assume, let them build an image you never fully explain, because the strongest perception is the one others create themselves, and once they believe it, it becomes real to them. That's control, not over truth, but over interpretation. And interpretation drives behavior. Behavior drives outcomes. Outcomes determine power. So understand the chain. Master perception, and reality begins to align. Type this in the comments. I control perception. Because once perception is controlled, you don't just exist in the world, you shape how the world responds to you. And that is a different level of power. Disappearance is not retreat, it is repositioning. Stepping back is not losing ground, it's choosing where the next move lands. Most stay visible too long. Constant presence, constant noise, constant exposure, it makes growth shallow, because evolution requires separation. Time away from attention, time away from expectation, time away from being watched. That's where transformation accelerates. No pressure to perform, no need to maintain an image, no distractions pulling focus outward, only one direction, inward. That's where the rebuild happens. Habits get restructured, weaknesses get eliminated, standards get reinforced. Not for display, but for dominance. And it happens quietly. No updates, no announcements, no need to show progress, because progress isn't for them, it's for position. Most won't understand this phase. They'll assume stagnation, they'll assume decline, they'll assume nothing is happening. Let them, because assumptions create blind spots, and blind spots create advantage. While they misread your silence, you refine. While they stay distracted, you focus. While they remain the same, you evolve. That's the separation phase. Slow, unnoticed, relentless, until the gap becomes undeniable. And then, reappearance. Not gradual, not subtle, decisive. Different presence, different energy, different level. Because the man who returns is not the one who left. Sharper, colder, more controlled, with results that don't need explanation. That's when perception shifts instantly. Confusion, curiosity, respect, all triggered at once. Because transformation that happens in silence feels sudden to everyone else. But it wasn't sudden. It was built every single day, without interruption. That's why it hits harder. Because no one saw it coming. And when no one sees it coming, no one is prepared to compete. That's the advantage of disappearing correctly. Not escaping reality, but rebuilding within it. Neediness destroys leverage, not slowly, instantly. The moment something becomes necessary, control shifts away. Needing approval, needing attention, needing outcomes to go a certain way. All of it weakens position. Because dependence creates vulnerability, and vulnerability invites pressure. A man who needs nothing cannot be manipulated, cannot be rushed, cannot be cornered. That's power in its purest form. Most operate from lack. They need validation to feel secure. They need responses to feel important. They need progress to feel in control. So they chase, they push, they force, they overextend. And in doing so, they expose everything. Intentions become obvious. Desperation becomes visible. Control disappears. That's why outcomes slip away. Because forced results rarely hold. Real control comes from detachment. Not indifference, but independence. The ability to act without emotional attachment to the result. To execute without needing immediate reward. To move forward even when nothing responds. That's where stability is built. Because when outcomes don't control your mindset, consistency becomes unbreakable. Action becomes automatic. No hesitation, no overthinking, no emotional fluctuation tied to success or failure. Just execution, cold, steady, Relentless. That's how dominance compounds. While others slow down after setbacks, you remain unchanged. While others get distracted by small wins, you stay focused on structure, because the mission is bigger than the moment. And moments don't define position. Patterns do. Daily patterns, disciplined patterns, controlled patterns, built without reliance on motivation, built without need. That's the difference. A man who needs motivation will stop when it disappears. A man who needs results will panic when they delay. But a man who needs nothing continues, no matter the condition, no matter the pace, no matter the response. That consistency becomes unstoppable because nothing external can interrupt it. No rejection, no delay, no silence from the world, all irrelevant. The process continues, and over time, that process produces results that cannot be denied, not because they were chased, but because they were inevitable. That's the shift, from seeking outcomes to creating them, without permission, without approval, without waiting. Type this in the comments. I need nothing to move forward, because once need is removed, freedom appears, and from that freedom, execution becomes limitless.